Hello and welcome to the Stellar Way YouTube channel. This is for you as a course creator to help you be able to design, create, and launch an online course. Each week there is a new video to support you. Make sure that you subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit the bell button to make sure that you get a notification when a new video is up. If you have any questions at all about this video, pop them in the comments below and I'm always happy to help you be able to finally get your course online. In this particular video, we will be looking at 3 different techniques on how you can launch an online course. So let's jump in and have a look at them. So 3 techniques so that you can launch your online course. We're going to look through each one of these and have a discussion about what they are and what they entail, as well as looking into the benefits and the negatives of each one. Before we do jump into that, I have a couple of questions for you. And now these will really help you to be able to confirm or determine which of the 3 methods is best useful for you. So first, it is important that you identify what your business structure is, what your business model is, and how your course fits into your business model. So for example, do you want to sell only courses? Is that what your business model is? That you have 10 different courses that you want to sell? Or does your course lead into other offers that you have, such as working with you one-on-one, or types of audits that you do, or done for you type of creation, whatever it may be? Your course might be a first step in a client's journey of you being able to support them further. And understand what your business requirements are. During this launch, what is it that you require from the launch? Let's consider, what are your goals throughout your course launch? How many courses do you want to sell? How much money do you want to make? What's the long-term plans, and what do you require in that process? Who are you selling your course to? This is another really important one, to identify who your audience is. And have you created your course for an existing audience, or do you need to now go and build your audience? So these are some questions for you to consider. Write them down on a notebook, write the answers down on a notebook, pop them in the comments if you feel comfortable placing them publicly, of how your course all fits together within your business. Now, it's important that you know this before you decide which method you're going to take, and it would all make sense shortly into why you should look at these questions first. So let's have a look at the 3 different techniques. Now I'm just going to pop them on here, and then we're going to delve into each one deeper. So you can use apps or platforms that already have an existing market of students. You can launch organically, and you can pay for ads. Now, launch organically, we're going to split that one into 2, and we'll look at those into 2 different ways that I recommend you can launch organically. So stay tuned for those 2 different ways. So it's like 3 techniques plus a bonus. All right, let's first have a look at apps. So apps or platforms, these are platforms where you can go and launch your course, but they do all the marketing for you, and they have the audience ready for you to sell your course to. So these are apps such as Udemy, AppSumo, Skillshare, and Grinfer. I know that there's many more. If you know of one that I don't know of, let me know in the comments. That will be really helpful. Now with these, there are benefits and there are negatives. Let's have a look at them. So you can save huge amounts of marketing costs because these platforms are doing the marketing for you. You don't need to build an audience. The audience already exists there, so you don't need to spend all of that time and sometimes costs on building your audience to then sell your course to. They're already there for you. This is a really good opportunity to launch your first course without a huge investment, and that investment can be both cost and time. Now here, I just want to be clear that on some of these apps, and I'm pretty sure on most of these apps, that you cannot go and then sell your course for a discounted rate on other platforms. It all needs to be the same amount. And likewise, you couldn't have the same course on your own platform that's cheaper. So when I say it's an opportunity to launch your first course, you might have a first version of your course, or maybe you have a mini course that is somehow aligned to your course topic, and you want to use these platforms to constantly sell this course passively. But it's also a great idea for you to do market research. So a great opportunity for you to launch that first course and start to better understand your students. Start to better understand how your course has helped them, what changes and updates your course needs. So it's like an opportunity to do a beta test without doing all the marketing or building an audience neither. Now the negatives is that the platforms usually take a cut of your course cost. This might be quite a high cut for some, for others it might not be that big, especially considering all of the money that you save on marketing costs. It's actually quite a decent amount of money that you would make from these platforms. Some of these apps, they do, however, put a special on your course. So they have the right to market to the audience how they want. And so with that, they can also put specials on your course, maybe like what's coming, the Black Friday offers that you're going to see. Your course might go on to this offer, and then all of a sudden you're getting a cut of your course that's heavily discounted. So something to consider. And finally, your audience is usually owned by these platforms, which means you cannot collect emails. So this is not useful if you have a course that you then want to sell one-on-one consulting or done-for-you packages to those people that go through the course, or if you want to sell more of your products or services to them. So that's an overview of platforms that already have a market and how you can launch your online course on them, going through the good and the bad for those. So then let's have a look at launching organically. Now, when we launch organically, as I mentioned, there's two main techniques that I would like to talk about today. The first one is launching to an existing audience that you have. So you may not be new to business. You may not be new to what you do. Maybe you're an existing consultant, an existing coach. Maybe you already provide a service. You might be an agency that provides services. So you already have an audience, or you already have a pool of clientele. So a great technique to launch to them is to launch to them privately. Launch to them through emails or messages or group posts, wherever that audience sits. Start to build up the fact that you do have a course. Start to create funnels of emails that's all leading to a sell of the course. Directly message people and let them know that you do have a course. Consider what other things are happening throughout the year to best align this. For example, with a Black Friday special that's coming up, you can offer your course to your audience, to your existing audience that's already a warm audience, and offer your course at a discounted rate using terminology such as a pre-launch or a pre-register that's only for them. That's one technique. Another technique is to build an audience and then launch. So that's when you don't have an existing audience, and you can do this through what I like to do is webinar and then sell. So what that is you're inviting people to your webinars. As you do, you're collecting emails, you're building your audience. And then during that webinar, when you deliver it, you deliver helpful tools, you deliver helpful tips, you provide the attendees with a useful webinar or a useful workshop, whatever the terminology is that you use. You give them takeaways that they can walk away from that webinar and be able to do something, right? It's not just a webinar full of fluff. And then at the end of that, you sell. All throughout, you sell. You make it clear that you do provide services and that service is going to be provided throughout a course. Now, building a webinar does take a lot of effort. It's a lot of work. However, what I do talk a lot about in this YouTube channel and with my clients is how you can design, create, and launch online courses by using agile methodologies, which means you get into this cycle of iterations where you're always launching something that is complete, but with each new launch, you're slowly improving it. You might add things to it as you learn more about your audience and what their needs are, and you might adapt things as you start to understand your audience more. But the point that I'm making here is that your first webinar, while it takes a lot to set up a webinar to sell type of funnel, your first one doesn't need to have all the bells and whistles of what the final one or what your dream funnel, your dream launch would look like. For example, you may have heard of the evergreen webinar where they just are on repeat. And that's not something to start with. That's something to use when you're ready to scale. When you're first launching, you're not ready to scale. And so it's good to do everything, let's say manually. Maybe you have an email that you send out to people when they've confirmed the webinar, or you have reminder emails that you want to send. These don't need to be on automations. You can hire a VA to send them. You can send them yourself. And I'm talking about the very first time. So the very first time for your webinar, literally all you need is a page where someone would sign up. That could be a Google form. It doesn't even have to be a landing page. You then have to send an email with a Zoom link. That's it. You don't need to have all the bells and whistles of something that's completely automated. Of course, that's our dream and that's what we want to reach. And I know that you would be feeling a little bit nervous about putting something out that's not 100% perfect by your standards. And what you need to understand is that perfect's up here, and you're going to have your absolute minimum. As long as you don't go below your absolute minimum standards, you're somewhere within that range, then there's always room for improvement. So make sure that if you do use this method, don't overwhelm yourself with trying to have everything perfect before your very first launch. Just launch and learn along the way, and learn from your lessons that you've learned, and put all of that feedback into your next launch. And over time, you will improve. Over time, you'll get to the point where you can then create a webinar that's on autopilot when you're starting to scale your business. Okay, let's have a look at the positives and negatives of these. So a benefit of launching organically is that you can save marketing costs on running ads. You can start to know your audience intimately. So you can start to work with them, message them, email them. It's not something that's just on autopilot where you don't see that they're actually in a webinar, or you don't see that they're buying a course until they've purchased. So you have the chance to really understand who your audience is. And it's a great strategy when you're starting out, which you may have already picked up on. Some negatives is that it is not scalable. So it helps you to be able to get to a point where you are ready to scale, but it's not scalable, nor is it sustainable. Your audience does not grow quickly enough through this method. You might have to mix it with other methods of audience growth, but it won't grow quickly enough. And as we mentioned, it is a lot of work, but it's a great place to start. So all these negatives kind of lead us into the third one, which is the third technique is paying for ads. Now this might be Google ads, Facebook ads, it may be on Instagram as well. Here, I don't recommend that you first launch your online course using ads. Now, you might want to do ads to start to understand your audience. You might want to use ads to sell your webinar, or to get more webinar people into your webinar. For a freebie, you might want to do that at a very low cost to just trial your ads out, but I don't recommend it to be your only form of launching. Here, if you do want to be able to get more people into your webinar, let's just go back for a bit. If you want to get more people on your webinar because your audience is not growing quickly enough, consider at this stage putting in some platforms or some systems such as referrals. So get your first people into your course and then start offering affiliate links or referrals or discounts to start to drive a bigger audience into your course from the people who have already taken your course and are advocates for you. So that is a way that you can overcome not scaling quickly or not building your audience quickly enough before you go to paid ads. This is a recommendation. Okay, so while I say here, I don't recommend this when you are launching a course for the very first time, there are some other methods that you can do before you come to paying for ads to be able to scale and build your audience quicker. Okay, let's have a look at some benefits and negatives of paying for ads. You can scale quickly, which is what we're discussing, and you can also build your audience quickly. So these are the exact opposites of doing everything organically. However, the negatives is that it is a lot more risky than doing it organically, and it can be quite tricky and difficult to get your ads right. Now, I am not an ads expert by any means, so I do recommend that if you wanted to jump to this method, that you do go and check out people either on Instagram or Facebook and start to understand how to put your ads together. However, when you are ready to pay for ads, usually this is when you're ready to start to scale your business. So if you are launching your course for the very first time, I don't recommend ads. Okay, so that is everything from me today in regards to how you can start to launch your online course. If you do have any questions, pop them in the comments below. I'm always here to be able to support you to be able to launch your online course. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that you can watch each of the new videos that are available each week. Until next time, happy course creating. Bye for now.